Hey, everybody, what's going on? This is your man, Big B, Brian Hanley, and welcome to Steelers Almighty. This is a report card from the Steelers' victory last night, 26-18 over the New York Giants. Look, the game it could have been a better effort. Look, the Steelers played hard. I don't know how well they played. We're going to break all that down for you. There were some deficiencies in some places that could have been better, but it was a victory. And we could be talking about this in a loss. There too many times over the years we've seen the Steelers play down to their competition, which I think they did play down to the competition and lost the football game. Well, they didn't lose this football game. So we're 6-2, but that's kind of where we are right now with this football team. We're 6-2, and we're talking about a game that we won that we're like, yeah, we won, but it could have been better. It could have been a better effort. So we're going to break all that down and give you the grades of each position, including coaching. Remember, tomorrow we're going to have our all 22. Everything is pushed back a day because of the Monday night game. So we got the report card today, all 22 tomorrow. And then on Thursday, we'll have our regular podcast, which we usually have on Wednesday. That'll be on Thursday. So just a day behind. That's all. Just pushing everything back. It actually works out well because the bye week is next week. So we'll be scrambling around to get you guys some good content out for that, man. So pretty soon we're going to have memberships for you guys to sign up for, man. The memberships are going to include, we're going to do a lot more all 22 stuff, probably doing a full game in there to break down that I'll have for you guys. So be on the lookout for that. It's going to be coming up soon. We're on our way to 4,000 subscribers. We just started this thing, man, on April 4th of this year. I appreciate all y'all support. I'll stop talking. Let's dive into this thing. So first things first, quarterback position. Russ, it was a good night for Russell Wilson. Look, I get it. Yes, he had the fumble. Can't do it. Just in you just can't do it. But I will say it was a great play. He tried to cover up the ball. He got hit from one side. The guy just literally punched the football out. But I don't want to make any excuses for him. You can't fumble the football in that situation. The Steelers were trying to preserve a lead and basically trying to run out the clock in that situation and put ourselves behind the 8 ball where the defense had to bail us out. That's what the defense is there for, but you can't put them in that situation. But other than that, Russ was pretty good. He was 20 for 28, including 9 of 10 in the second half, 278 yards, a touchdown, had one called back. Probably could have had another one. Him and Van Jefferson got to get on the same page in the red zone. Van didn't sit down in the zone coverage. Russ thought he would. He kept running. They just got to get on the same page. More reps together. But I thought Russ had a good night, man. I really did. The second week in a row, other than the fumble, he didn't put the ball into harm's way, throwing the football, didn't make any bad, just terrible reads or anything like that. Got the ball down the field, which is something that we had been screaming for. But the thing that's different with Russ is that he's going to throw the ball down the field, and he throws such a catchable football. There was a couple of times where guys are just running underneath it and the ball's just right there. It's a catchable ball. Or George Pickens can catch the ball and with his hands, which he's got great hands, catches the ball with his hands and it just slides and he's backpedaling, running towards the sideline. It's a catchable football. And there's just a difference. This offense looks different with Russell Wilson. Give me an A- for Russ. Like I said, great stats. Was really good in the second half because the Giants tried to take away the run game in the second half, which they were pretty successful at doing. But then we were able to throw the football a little bit more. So A- for Russ. Moving on. Running backs. Look, man, Najee was good again. This is the third game in a row that Najee Harris has done his thing, especially early. Najee got it going real early. But then Jaylen Warren right behind him. This is the Jaylen Warren that everybody envisioned. This is the Jaylen Warren that we saw last year. This is the Jaylen Warren, a healthy Jaylen Warren that we're starting to see. Both of them average. Najee, what he averaged? 6 yards a carry. Jaylen Warren averaged 5.1 yards a carry. And again, Najee had 19 carries. Jaylen Warren had 9. That's what you want to see. Jaylen Warren had 11 touches. I always say anywhere between 10 and 15 touches for Jaylen Warren, that's what you want. and that's what he got. It keeps both of them efficient. It keeps both of them relatively fresh. Um, but they were running hard. They were running with vision, elusiveness. Obviously, we'll get to the offensive line, but yeah, give this unit an A plus, man. Again, just better and better each week. Najee is better when Jaylen Warren is there. I know sometimes somebody or some people might think that that's weird. No, it's not. Najee is a better running back when Jaylen Warren is on the field. Number one, it probably pushes him to be better. That's number one. Number two, Najee needs a contract. He's looking for a contract. But number three, it keeps him fresher. And let's make no mistake, Najee Harris is the number one running back on this football team. And if he continues at this pace, I think the Steelers got to re-sign him. I know we talked about, early in the season what he looked like. It didn't look great. And, they didn't pick up his fifth-year option. But, yeah, I think they got to re-sign him if that's the case. If he continues doing what he's doing, it doesn't have to be some stupid $10, $12 million a year. It doesn't have to be that. But the Steelers could re-sign Najee Harris. But I like what I see. Give them an A+, man. To the wide receivers, a lot of guys caught passes. You're going to have to be good blockers and willing blockers in an Arthur Smith offense. Wide receivers did that again last night. They caught the football last night. They did the things that you are looking for in this offense last night. Look, Van Jefferson had his best game as a Pittsburgh Steeler. I think it was more of he was getting open, getting better separation, but also the Steelers gave him a chance. Russell Wilson gave him a chance, and he caught the football. Good for him. George Pickens had a touchdown called back, caught a touchdown. That was a weird touchdown. Again, he caught one, he had one called back, and then one he was out of bounds. And again, it's the rule. It's just a wild rule. You know what I'm saying? He didn't get 2 feet down. The same foot hit twice, but it doesn't count. I understand why. I get it. It's just, you know what I'm saying? It's just kind of weird, but it is what it is. I don't have a problem with it really. But George Pickens had a good night. Could have been better. The Steelers overall, the offense could be better. But the wide receivers, I'm going to give wide receivers an A. A lot of people did a lot of things. Look, man, we talked about Calvin Austin before the game, and Calvin Austin, they gave him an opportunity down the field. This is what he can do, man. Sometimes you just got to throw him the football. Just throw it to him down the field and see what happens. They did that. We talked about it in the pregame, and lo and behold, this is exactly what happened. So, again, as a guy that says the Steelers still need another wide receiver to help, and I still believe they do, this was still a good effort by the wide receivers. Still a solid effort by the wide receivers, so I give them an A. Moving to the offensive line. Look, early on and in the first half, the Steelers ran the ball. I mean, they were running the ball down the Giants' throat. I mean, there was nothing that they could do to stop it. Now, and we were getting chunk plays in the run game. Now, in the second half, the Giants said, okay, enough is enough. We're not going to just continuously let you run the football right down our throat. You're going to have to throw it. Well, the Steelers did that. Now, here's the thing. They gave up 4 sacks. 3 of those sacks were on the offensive line. One of those, Russell Wilson, you got to get the ball out of your hand. Got to throw the damn ball. You can't hold it forever. It's one of the things that people were worried about Russell Wilson holding on to the football too long. You got to get it out of your hand. Just throw it away, if nothing else. So that did happen. 4 sacks, 3 of them were offensive line issues. But like I said, they ran the ball very efficient. Russell Wilson, again, 20 for 28. He had to have a time to be able to get the ball out and get the ball to those receivers. So, the offensive line did yeoman's work last night. Was it their best effort? No, it wasn't, but I thought it was a really good one. And I'm giving the offensive line a B. You might think that's a little harsh, but the 4 sacks are the 4 sacks. Those count. What could the offense have been if you don't give up those 4 sacks? That's all I'm saying. But the offensive line as a whole, I thought did really well. I thought they did really well. It's good for them. And then overall for the offense, here's the thing, man. They had 426 yards of total offense. They were going up and down the field on the Giants, man. They really were. But 4 field goals. You're 0-4 in the red zone. You can't settle for field goals in those situations. Against a better football team, the Steelers lose. That's the thing. The Steelers lose if they're playing against a better football team. You're kicking 4 field goals in the red zone. That can't happen. Got to be better offensively in the red zone, man. Even if it's just one more touchdown. Just think about that. One more touchdown and what the Steelers do. And it probably should have been 2 more touchdowns if we're being realistic. But going 0 for 4 is dreadful in the red zone against a better team that would have cost us, but it didn't. We won the game. But overall, I'm going to give the offense a B. A lot of chunk plays, ran the ball really well. Russell Wilson played well, but the 4 sacks are a problem, and red zone deficiencies. That's a big, big problem. A lot bigger problem than what you think. I get that we had the field goals, but you know it, man. You kicking field goals, you lose to good competition. You just do. So we got to be better there. Flipping to the other side of the ball. Look, you guys know I count the defensive line because the Steelers play so much nickel. We're in a 4-man line, and that includes Highsmith and Watt. So when I talk about the defensive line, those guys are counted. And look, it was an A-plus effort. It just was. Highsmith, Watt, they dominated the football game. Just constant pressure. Constant pressure. TJ Watt, again, showing he's the best defensive player in the world when he needed to. Strip sack, recovers his own fumble, just causing havoc. They didn't single block him very many times. But when they did, he wrecked the football game. Alex Highsmith's like, hold on a second. You're going to single block me? Okay, well, then I'm going to make you pay for that. And then a couple times, they switched sides, which you hadn't seen a whole lot of. And I like what the Steelers did. They're like, look, you're going to put all of this stuff. We're going to flip them around and see what happens here. I like that the Steelers are moving those guys around. I think as the season goes on and we play against, familiar foes, I think we're going to have to move those guys around a lot more and do a lot more offensive line twists and stunts and all that kind of stuff. We're going to have to do that a lot more on the defensive side of the football as we move on here in the season. But defensive line, Cam Hayward, again, doing yeoman's work. I was ready to put the guy on the scrap heap to start the season. He's basically said, Big B, shut up. I can still get things done. Good for him. I don't care. He's doing his job. Give them an A. A+. Moving on. Linebackers. Look, I'm going to start with Patrick Queen. Patrick Queen had 8 tackles, but only 3 of them were solo tackles. No tackles for loss. And just look, there was too much running yards. And I know what teams are doing. You guys, you're watching, and if you're listening, I'm telling you, teams are getting us in the nickel. They're coming out in a ton of 11 personnel, and then they're running the football at Peyton Wilson. Well, Patrick Queen, you got to help, man. You got to go make tackles. Peyton Wilson right now is in a bad way when it comes to running. I get it that he had a lot of tackles last week, but teams have decided they're going to run the football at him, and he's trying to run around too many blocks. You can't run around blocks, man, in this league, unless you're Fred Warner. And right now, Peyton Wilson is not Fred Warner. You got to take on the block, take on the gap, and be that guy. No, you're not going to make the tackle. But your job is to make sure they just don't run it right down your throat while you're trying to run around the block where a hole opens wide up. Way too many rushing yards last night to the Giants. To, again, a team that can't run the football. That's the thing. The Giants are terrible at running the football. This is the 3rd time we've seen this happen against the Steelers. We've got to be able to stop that. It wasn't good last night from the linebackers' perspective. Look, Landon Roberts, he didn't play a ton, but when he was out there, he kind of flashed. Is he going to have to play more? If they're going to put us in the nickel and then run the football at Peyton Wilson, are we going to have to put a Landon Roberts out there more to say, hey, man, you're not going to run the football here. You're not going to just try to spread us out, get us in a light box, and then run the football at us. So we'll see what they do moving forward, but we might have to start making some changes there or Peyton Wilson just got to get better. It could just be an aberration, one bad game. I get it, but it was a bad game. Give the linebacking core a C minus on the day. Now, defensive backs, too much separation. I didn't like it. We didn't do a ton of press coverage. Guys were running free. We let Darius Slayton look like an all-pro. He only had 4 catches, but he was over 100 yards. I said, hey, the Steelers, can we get Darius Slayton? But that's a different conversation for a different day. They had him and Neighbors had, what was it, 179 on 11 catches. Too many times they were picking apart our zone. I just didn't like I didn't like Deshaun Elliott a couple of times out of his gap on run fits. There was just too much. Look, you're not going to shut teams down in the National Football League. You're just not going to do that. The guys are too good. The rules are slanted too much to the offense's favor. But there was too many times where guys are making big plays on this defense. I didn't like what I saw out of the secondary. We're still waiting for Mika to flash, too. I thought this might be a game where he was able to do that against Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones didn't look horrible. He didn't look horrible. But having said all of that, I didn't like what the defensive backs did. Give them a C on the day. And then look, so overall, the one good thing is the Steelers held them to 18 points. That's the thing. I talked about the offense's red zone deficiencies. They were 0 for 3 in the red zone. So we held them to field goals too. But again, against better competition, do you do that? Steelers gave up a ton of rushing yards, 145 to one guy. And I know what you're saying. Yeah, he had a 45-yard run. Yeah, but you take that 1 yard or that one run away, he still has 100 yards. He's averaging 6 yards a carry. It's just too much. Too many times you saw him backpedaling and just, guys, we didn't get him on the ground. I'm like, what are we doing? Tackle this man. Put him on the ground. Is Tracy really that good? I don't think so. So I don't know. And tackling his effort. But I just didn't like what I saw out of the defense last night all the way around. You're going to give up something. You can't give up both. And last night we gave up both to the Giants. It was not the defense's best effort, but because the defensive line played so well and we did hold them to 18 points, again, all those things matter. Give them a B minus on the day. Now, special teams, look, this is becoming a broken record. Danny Smith is the absolute GOAT. Just a man amongst boys out there when it comes to coaching special teams. Again, we didn't have a block kick, but we had a punt return for a touchdown. Although, I will admit, I thought it was at least running into the kicker, if not roughing the kicker. But how many times have the Steelers been hosed? I mean, we got hosed last week on a block kick. I go, so you know what? Turnabout's fair play. I'll take it. But again, the special teams unit is just outstanding. Boz, again, 4 field goals. I mean, he didn't have really long field goals this week because we were in the red zone all night, but 4 for 4 is still good. I don't care what. We've seen guys miss closer field goals, but Boz is not missing those. Our man Corliss Waitman, again, has been a godsend coming in. How he didn't have a job coming into this season, I have no clue. You're going to tell me there's 32 punters. I know I say that every week, but I'm going to continue to say it. There's not 32 punters that are better than this man. I'm just sorry. How he didn't have a job, I just don't know. I literally don't know. But last night, look, 43.7 yards per punt. You're thinking, well, that's not too far. Well, he had 2 inside the 20, along a 55. Oh, and by the way, he only had punt return yardage 2 yards. They returned 1 punt for 2 yards. Punter's doing his job, man. Special teams gets an A+. As far as the coaching, look, Mike Tomlin challenged a play that you can't challenge, and then he tried to explain it away after the game and said he didn't know that they had done a booth review and all that stuff. Okay, that's fine. I would think a guy that's on the rules committee would know all of that, but if he didn't know, he didn't know. It is what it is. But there wasn't any real blunders, that coaches made. Arthur Smith, I will say, was in his bag. The Steelers were going up and down the field on the Giants, but got to get better in the red zone. We got to have a better red zone offense. The defense wasn't great. Look, Terrell Austin / Mike Tomlin are the defensive coordinators. They got to tighten things up. They just got to tighten things up. You can say, again, it's one game aberration, but whatever. I don't care. It happened. We watched it. It was not a good defensive effort by the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, I'll go ahead and give them a B overall for coaching because, again, the offense was good, although bad in the red zone. The defense was bad, but good in the red zone. So give them a B overall. And again, 18 points is 18 points. I know I'm being harsh on the defense, but you still held them to 18 points. I'll take it. Um, and then overall, as far as the Steelers collectively, look, I just talked about the offensive performance. It was fine. It was better than fine. But again, against good competition, we lose this football game. And you're kidding yourself if you don't think that we do. Against better competition, we lose this game because we're settling for 4 field goals. I'm sorry. And we got a punt return for a touchdown. Now, you could say the Steelers are going to get those kinds of breaks because we're so good in special teams. I'll give you that. And you're right. We will. Even if it's not a touchdown, we can still change field position, all that kind of stuff. But we got to be better in the red zone, and we can't give up this kind of rushing yards. Passing yards. I mean, as long as they're not throwing for 350, 400 yards, I give up passing yards because again, the rules, the way that they are, you're just not going to shut down teams passing the football, especially when they have to pass the football to try to get back into the game. You're just not going to be able to shut teams down. But you can stop them from running the ball. You can do that, and the Steelers didn't do that last night. So overall, collectively, I give this game a B. We won. I'm happy that we won. The win is important because we've seen it before. The Steelers playing down to competition, which they did do, and then they lose. They did not lose this game. But that's kind of where we are. I mentioned this earlier. The Steelers, where we're at right now, we're a better football team. And we expect better because we can be better. We won this game, but we can be a better football team. So getting into the bye week, getting guys back, I love it. I like where we're at. We're 6-2. We're going to the bye week. We're going to get healthy. And then bring on the ending part of the schedule. Bring it on. A lot of tough games, a lot of tough teams. But I said it last night, and I'll say it again. We're a tough team, too. So I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you again for everything that you guys have done for this channel and the support that you've given us. We appreciate it. We love you. Again, tomorrow, the All 22 is coming out. And then the day after that, on Thursday, our regular podcast. Everything just pushed back a day because of the game on Monday night. So appreciate you guys, man. Love you and aloha.